r/NoSleep. Welcome to the Afterlife Arcade, play to win, lose to stay. The stage lights flicker to life, bathing the retro-futuristic arcade set in hues of neon pink and electric blue. The crowd roars with anticipation. The air buzzes with an uneasy energy that even the most desensitized among them can't shake. I step onto the platform, my sequin blazer glittering like 1,000 tiny mirrors. My producer's voice crackles in my earpiece. Smile, Rick. They're eating this up. Of course they are. Who wouldn't? The premise is irresistible. Contestants play arcade games for a chance at resurrection. But lose, and you stay here, forever. And not in a you can roam the earth haunting your ex kind of way. No, here, you become part of the arcade. A permanent fixture. A living ghost in the machine. The announcer's booming voice echoes through the sound system. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your favorite game show and mine, the Afterlife Arcade. The crowd erupts as the ominous theme music swells. The camera cuts to me, plastering on my well-rehearsed grin. Good evening, folks. I'm Rick Maddox, your host for the greatest game in this world, or the next. The audience cheers on cue. Now, let's welcome tonight's contestant. Give it up for Samantha Pierce. The spotlight shifts to a woman stepping nervously onto the stage. She's in her late 30s, with dark circles under her eyes and the look of someone who hasn't had a peaceful night's sleep in years. The camera zooms in on her trembling hands. Come on up, Samantha. I beckon her to the podium, where a vintage arcade joystick sits embedded in the polished metal console. She hesitates but approaches, her steps faltering as the crowd chants her name. She's already terrified. They always are. So, Samantha, I begin, flipping through my cue cards. Tell us a bit about yourself. What brought you to the Afterlife Arcade? She swallows hard, her voice barely audible. I was in a car accident. I didn't even know this place was real. Oh, it's real, I say with a laugh that doesn't reach my eyes. And lucky for you, we've got 3 games tonight. All you have to do is win 2 out of 3, and you'll be back among the living. But if you lose... I pause dramatically, letting the crowd fill the silence with ominous jeers. Now, I continue, tell me, what do you most regret leaving behind? My daughter, she whispers. She's only 7. She needs me. The crowd shifts uneasily. Even they have limits to their bloodlust. Then let's not keep her waiting. Step up to the console, Samantha. She places a shaking hand on the joystick as the screen lights up, revealing the first game, Midnight Maze. The rules are simple. Guide the glowing orb through the labyrinth while avoiding shadowy figures that dart through the corridors. All right, Samantha, I say, my grin widening. Are you ready to play? I don't have a choice, she mutters. That's the spirit. The countdown begins. 3, 2, 1. Start. The orb moves hesitantly at first as Samantha struggles with the joystick. The crowd leans forward, eager for blood. The shadows in the maze are fast, too fast, and one clips the orb within seconds. A shrill buzz echoes through the studio. Strike 1. I announce with mock sympathy. Careful now, Samantha. One more hit, and you'll lose this round. She clenches her jaw, guiding the orb with a newfound focus. It weaves around the shadows, narrowly avoiding them as the maze grows increasingly complex. Sweat drips down her brow. The crowd is on edge, gasping as she makes a daring last-second turn. Then, finally, the orb reaches the finish line. The maze dissolves, replaced by the word winner flashing in bold neon letters. The crowd cheers. Samantha exhales in relief. Well done. I say, clapping theatrically. But don't celebrate just yet. You've still got 2 more games to go. The screen flickers to reveal the next challenge, Highway to Hell. Oh, this one's a fan favorite, I say. You're driving a semi down an endless highway. The goal? Avoid the oncoming obstacles. And trust me, they get creative. Samantha's knuckles turn white as she grips the wheel that rises from the console. The countdown begins again. 3, 2, 1. Go. The semi lurches forward. At first, it's almost easy. A few potholes. A stray deer. But then the obstacles grow more surreal. A pack of wolves with glowing red eyes charges at her. The road cracks open, revealing molten lava below. She swerves wildly, narrowly avoiding a series of ghostly apparitions that leap out of the darkness. The crowd is on their feet, roaring with excitement. Samantha's breathing is ragged. Her eyes dart frantically across the screen. She's close, so close, to the finish line. Then, out of nowhere, a spectral truck barrels toward her. There's no way to avoid it. The crash is catastrophic. Flames engulf the screen. "Aw, tough luck," I say as Samantha stumbles back from the console, tears streaming down her face. That's one win, one loss. It all comes down to the final game. The screen flickers one last time. The title of the final challenge appears, Soul Collector. "Oh, this one's a killer," I say, unable to suppress a grin. The rules are simple: collect 5 glowing souls while avoiding the Reaper. But don't get greedy, he's faster than he looks. Samantha's hands are trembling as she grips the joystick again. The screen fills with a sprawling graveyard, eerie and dark. The glowing souls float tantalizingly close, but the Reaper's shadow looms in the distance. 3, 2, 1. Start. She moves cautiously, collecting the first 2 souls with ease. The crowd cheers her on. But as she goes for the third, the Reaper appears, his side slicing through the air. She barely escapes. Her confidence grows. She grabs the 4th soul, then the 5th. The crowd erupts in celebration. But it's not over. The Reaper is on her tail now, moving impossibly fast. Samantha's face contorts in terror as she frantically searches for the exit. She's so close. The screen flashes. She's one step away. The Reaper's scythe comes down. The screen goes black. The studio is silent. Then the words "Game Over" appear in blood-red letters. The crowd goes wild. Samantha collapses to her knees, screaming as the console glows and her body dissolves into pixels. Her terrified face lingers on the screen for a moment before vanishing entirely. "Well, folks," I say, turning to the camera with my trademark smile. "Looks like Samantha's staying with us a little longer. But don't worry. She'll be part of the arcade now. Forever." The crowd chants, "Forever." As the lights dim. The show is over. I head backstage, my stomach churning. I'll see Samantha again tomorrow, trapped inside one of the games, her cries muffled by the cheering crowd. And I'll be here, hosting, smiling, waiting for the next unlucky contestant. The neon lights fade, the stage grows dim, and the crowd begins to disperse. The Afterlife Arcade show is over for tonight, but the arcade itself never sleeps. It's alive in ways most of the contestants, and even I, barely comprehend. As I retreat backstage, the residual adrenaline seeps from my body, leaving a cold emptiness behind. The silence of the arcade is deafening, broken only by faint echoes of laughter and screams that seem to come from the walls themselves. My producer catches up to me in the corridor, his face pale and strained. "Rick," he says, his voice low, "you're slipping." The audience noticed. "I did my job," I snap, but my voice wavers. "I sold the show. I gave them what they wanted." He leans in close, eyes darting around as if the walls are listening. "You don't sell the show, Rick. The arcade owns the show. It owns you. If you start faltering, it won't be Samantha stuck here forever." I force a smile, brushing past him. "Don't worry about me. I've got it under control." But I don't. Not even close. The arcade's midnight secrets. I step into my dressing room, locking the door behind me. The mirror on the wall reflects a face I barely recognize anymore. My eyes are hollow, my skin pale under the heavy stage makeup. I lean forward, wiping it away with a trembling hand. Beneath the surface, faint red lines run across my face, marks that weren't there when I first signed the contract. The contract. Just thinking about it sends a shiver down my spine. It had seemed so simple at first. Be the host of a groundbreaking new game show, they'd said. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The fine print? Oh, there was fine print, all right. Pages of it. I hadn't read a word. Not until it was too late. A knock on the door pulls me from my thoughts. "Who is it?" I call out. No answer. The knock comes again, louder this time. "Go away," I yell, but the door handle jiggles violently. Then it stops. I wait, heart pounding, and press my ear to the door. Silence. Slowly, I crack it open and peer into the corridor. It's empty. At least, it looks empty. The fluorescent lights overhead flicker erratically, casting long, shifting shadows on the walls. My gut tells me to close the door and stay inside, but something compels me to step out. The corridor feels longer than before, stretching endlessly into the distance. The familiar signs that lead back to the studio are missing. Instead, The walls are lined with arcade cabinets I've never seen before. Each screen flickers with static, but I can feel something watching me from inside them. A voice crackles to life behind me. "Rick." I whip around, but no one is there. "Rick," it whispers again, this time from one of the arcade machines. The static clears, revealing Samantha's face. Her once desperate eyes are now glassy and lifeless. Her lips move, but the words seem to come from somewhere else entirely. "Come play with me, Rick." I stumble back, my breath hitching. Samantha's face stretches unnaturally across the screen, her mouth widening into a grotesque grin. Her hand reaches out from the machine, the pixels glitching and distorting as she claws at the air. I turn and run. The Hall of Lost Hosts. I sprint down the corridor, my footsteps echoing like gunshots. The arcade cabinets seem to multiply, lining the walls like rows of teeth in a gaping maw. The air grows heavy, thick with the scent of burnt plastic and ozone. My lungs feel like they're collapsing under the weight of it. Finally, I burst through a set of double doors and find myself in a cavernous room I've never seen before. The walls are lined with portraits, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Each one depicts a former host of the Afterlife Arcade. Their faces are all frozen in identical expressions of terror. In the center of the room stands a figure. Damien. He's out of his devil costume now, but somehow, that makes him even more horrifying. His true form is tall and skeletal, his eyes burning with a sickly green light. His smile is sharp enough to cut glass. Well, he drawls, his voice echoing unnaturally. "Taking a little tour, are we, Rick? What is this place?" I manage to choke out. "Oh, this?" Damien gestures around the room. "This is the Hall of Lost Hosts. Every poor soul who thought they could outsmart the arcade. Every fool who thought they could escape." He steps closer, and I instinctively back away. "You're not just the host of a game show, Rick. You're the face of the arcade. And when your time is up, you'll join them." He points to an empty frame on the wall. My name is already engraved on the brass plate below it. "No," I whisper. "I won't let that happen." Damien laughs, a sound like shattering glass. "Oh, Rick. It's not up to you. The arcade chooses. And it's already decided your fate." The final game. The room dissolves around me, and I'm back on the stage. The audience is gone, replaced by rows of shadowy figures with glowing red eyes. Damien stands at the console, beckoning me forward. "It's time to play, Rick," he says, his grin widening. "One final game. Win, and you walk away. Lose, and you're mine." The console lights up, displaying a game I've never seen before, Host's Revenge. The objective flashes on the screen: defeat the arcade. I grip the joystick, my hands slick with sweat. The game begins. The screen fills with pixelated enemies, twisted caricatures of every contestant who ever played. Samantha is there, her digital form snarling as she lunges at me. I dodge her attack and fire back, the screen erupting in a shower of sparks. But the game is relentless. For every enemy I defeat, 10 more take their place. The joystick burns in my hands, the heat searing my palms. My vision blurs, and the sounds of the game blend into a cacophony of screams. "You can't win, Rick," Damien taunts from somewhere behind me. "The arcade always wins." I grit my teeth, fighting through the pain. The final boss appears on the screen, a monstrous version of Damien, his laugh echoing through the speakers. I fire everything I have at him, my fingers moving faster than I thought possible. The screen flashes. The word victory appears in bright, golden letters. For a moment, I feel a surge of hope. But then the console powers down, and the stage goes dark. Damien steps forward, his grin more menacing than ever. "Congratulations, Rick. You won the game." He leans in close, his breath hot against my ear. "But you lost the war." The new host. I wake up back in my dressing room, but something is wrong. My reflection in the mirror is gone. The room feels cold, lifeless. A knock at the door. "Rick, you ready?" My producer's voice calls. I open the door to find Damien standing there, his devil costume immaculate. He hands me a new script. "Welcome to the Afterlife Arcade," he says with a wink. "You're going to be great." As I step onto the stage, the audience roars. A new contestant is waiting at the podium, trembling with fear. I smile, but it's not my smile. It's the arcade's. And it's hungry.